All right, BobalosRex here, and today we're talking 12.0.7 PTR and my final impressions of the patch testing that I've done so far. All right, so basically this is one for Blizz. So hey, there's a couple more weeks before the patch comes out. Maybe you want to adjust some things, and it's also to let y'all know what's in store for the patch as of right now. So first off, let's talk about the two patch zones. Now, my favorite of the two is Nagtal, purely just because of the vibes. But we got Val, which is this ice little world. We're in this like crevasse here, doing some stuff, fighting the Dominar. And then there's Nagtal, which is the swamp planet. We're on like this little island outcropping, and the ethereals are there. All right, both zones perfectly fine. My favorite is Nagtal, and there's a bunch of little rares and other goodies and achievements. It's basically 2 Siren Owls for the price of 1, and I'm fine with it. And I didn't like the Siren Owls that much, but these two I think are going to do a little bit better because they also have the hard mode feature. All right, now the main thing that the hard mode and the heroic mode is going to be about achievements, right? Achievements and alt gearing, because the hard mode, is designed for a fully geared character. All right, it even tells you that in the description of the mode. You want to be fully geared. Okay, so what you're doing with the hard mode, what Blizzard is doing with the hard mode, is basically it's for achievements and it's for a fully geared character to do harder activity, because it is a harder activity. It's easier for tanks, harder for damage dealers, and for a healer, you're going to need a group. All right. But yeah, so you do the hard mode, you get the achievements, you get the gear for your alts, and then you ideally, and that's what is the big problem with this patch and in the current patch, is you turn those field accolades into gear. All right. As you can see, the vendor on the PTR over here has been updated with heroic caches. All right, for 75 or for 750 accolades, you can buy a specific slot heroic gear. Now, are accolades hard to get in the new showdowns? No, it's actually really easy to get accolades. The problem is accolades are not account wide. All right. Accolades need to be warband wide, right? They need to be warband transferable. No, they don't need to cut an amount out of them either when you trade them. They just need to be account transferable so we can gear up our alts. And then while we're here, in my opinion, the vendor's prices need to be looked at. 750 for a heroic tier piece and 500 for a heroic tier piece. Bit too high at this point, right? It's the end of the season. Even with the amount of field accolades we're getting, I think these prices need to be adjusted, and field accolades need to be account tradable. That's the biggest thing about this. This is why I wanted to make the video, because these things need to be freaking tradable at this point. It's kind of crazy. Now, what else is going on in the patch? There's some XP boost for alt leveling. I think that's good. This alt gearing seems fine on the surface until we can't trade accolades. Then it's kind of like, what the hell? All right. Now, it is easy for a person to gear up doing accolades, but it is annoying because it's like, okay, so I gear up from doing assaults, getting those accolades, or a showdown. I do the weekly showdown. Then you're doing delves and you're not getting any accolades at all. Ritual sites do. So are they trying to shift us from delves to do these other activities on alts? But say you want to do delves instead. You do got the delve vendor. You know, there's prey too. I just think we're spreading people out so much. And I think the easiest solution is just make these account wide. So the mains that do that stuff can give it to the alts they want to gear. And then they can do the activities they want on the alts they want to do. Okay? Now, the raid. Here's the thing. I haven't tested this raid. I have no opinions on the boss. The gear, how they're doing the gear, I think is going to cause a lot of issues. Do I think it's bad? No. I think this raid is more about a test of this new mythic flex, and they blatantly want to force people to do this raid, right? So if you want the highest item level gear, you now have to do this raid for 2 pieces for your armor type, a necklace, and a ring, right? If you want the highest item level stuff, you have to do that, all right? And you got to do it on mythic. So they are really trying to force people to do this. They're doing a mount where you got to do it 4 weeks to get the mount. They're doing a quest where you got to do it. They really want people to, they're pushing people into this raid. So if you don't want to feel forced into a raid, you're not going to have a good time with that. All right. But if you can ignore the higher item level pieces and all that, you'll be fine. Okay. Now, Janalai Hatchery, the little quest line we had way over here. Honestly, the only thing I got to say about that is disappointed there wasn't more. There's just one little quest line. And it didn't continue the next week or anything. And I was just so... I wanted more. Didn't get it. So that's my issue with that. But that's not really an issue. It was a fine quest line. But as far as them announcing it on the patch, kind of felt like, what? That's not a big feat. That's not... That would have been something they just put in the patch and then people find it as a fun little thing, in my opinion. Or on a later post. Alright? Now, the big quest line of the patch that isn't going to launch at the start is cool. I do like that quest. That quest is great. And then the last thing on my list, because Turbulent Timeways Dragonflight isn't a big thing, right? Well, it is a big thing, but it's not... What's the test, right? The dungeons are fine. They're Dragonflight dungeons. The Time Walking Vendor has good stuff. That's good. Turbulent Timeways date got adjusted, but what does that mean? Who knows? Does this patch date change? Maybe. But as far as the event, it's just going to be another leveling event. People use it to level. It's a good leveling event, and it's got goodies. All right, it's fine. Now, the other big thing is the Omnium Folio, and I got a vent about this folio, if I can get over there. But the way it works, it's 5 weeks of questing, and then you have your new power-up for the season. But that's the thing. It's 5 weeks, right? This thing won't be complete until July... maybe it's the 14th. Yeah, it won't be complete until the 14th. So it's like a power system for a month? I'm really starting to think this power system may last a bit longer. But the last little bit that I want to complain about is the run to this thing, right? So we got to do this quest at least on one character, all right, for 5 weeks. You do the first quest, and you do the second, week by week, right? The run to it is a pain in the ass. All right. The run to this is a pain in the ass. Tons of people are going to get confused going into here because that's the thing. You don't go in the front. You go in. Well, the dungeon entrance is on the side. This entrance is kind of like on the front facing, well, like where we are. And then if you come in anywhere on here, those doors are all shut, so you have to go all the way back here to then run through this hallway. I really think after the first time, they may want to add a little portal. All right? They may want to add a little portal from the front area or something to get people over here to these guys, or people are going to be annoyed. And that's basically it. Overall, I think this patch is fine. I just wish they would fix the accolades being account wide. That's going to be the biggest issue this patch is going to face. And then take a look at this run back. And other than that, I told y'all the other places people are going to complain. People are going to complain about the raid. People are going to complain about tanks being busted in the hard mode. And people are going to complain about the time gating of the Omnium Folio, which I think, in my opinion, if they want to stop the time gating complaint here, maybe make these two happen in the first week right? Kind of like the Eco Dome where we got like 2 in a week. So you have these 2 in the first week, this one in the second week, and then these 2 in the third week. So instead of 5 weeks, it's 3 weeks. I think that could alleviate it. But otherwise, it's just going to be another 0.7 patch. And I think it's going to be fine. I think it's perfectly fine. But I do think they can fix it and make it even better with a couple of changes. All right. The biggest being field accolades. Patch that in right now. And that's it. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.